Even darkness has its own language, which we don't hear in normal times. But after today's story ends, that silence will become a source of fear for you. I am Azad, as always, with you in Ga Chomchom. Today's supernatural events sent by Rayhan may be enough to rob you of sleep at night.
They say some things you catch on camera are just glitches, shadows, imagination. But what if they're not? What if every whisper, every moving object, every unseen presence was real, and it was already inside the places we call safe? In these three disturbing cases, ordinary homes, empty corridors, and innocent children's rooms become something far more terrifying, where invisible entities seem to watch, move, and sometimes even interact. And the worst part? They don't always stay hidden. Sometimes they notice you noticing them. Back in 2025, Sarah began to notice that something in her home felt wrong. It wasn't anything obvious at first. No loud crashes, no broken objects, just a quiet, creeping unease that seemed to settle into the walls after sunset. The air would grow heavier at night, like the house itself was holding its breath. At first, she blamed stress. Being a mother to a young child was exhausting. Sleepless nights, constant worry. It made sense that her mind might play tricks on her. But the feeling didn't go away. In fact, it grew stronger with each passing night. Sometimes she would hear faint noises coming from the hallway, soft, dragging sounds, like something slowly moving across the floor. Other times, she thought she heard whispers, too quiet to understand, but just loud enough to make her heart race. Still, she ignored it. Until one night, everything changed. It was late, well past midnight. The house was silent, wrapped in darkness. Sarah was sitting alone in the living room, absent-mindedly scrolling through her phone, trying to relax after putting her daughter to bed 2 hours earlier. That's when she heard it. Music. Soft, mechanical, repetitive. Her body instantly went rigid. The sound was coming from her daughter's room. A cold wave of dread washed over her. That didn't make any sense. Her daughter was a deep sleeper. Once she was out, she wouldn't wake up easily, let alone get out of bed to play. And then, a chilling thought crept into her mind. What if she didn't turn it on? Sarah slowly stood up, her heart pounding louder with each step. The music grew louder. Each note seemed to press against her ears, sending a shiver down her spine. Her hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob. She whispered under her breath, barely audible, "My daughter's been asleep for 2 hours." The door creaked open, and what she saw inside made her blood run cold. The door slowly swung open, revealing the dim glow of a nightlight in the corner of the room. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Sarah's daughter was fast asleep in her crib, curled up peacefully under her blanket. Her tiny chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm, completely undisturbed. But the music was still playing. Sarah's eyes locked onto the source, one of her daughter's musical toys. It sat on a small shelf across the room, far beyond the reach of a sleeping toddler. The toy was standing perfectly upright, its lights flickering softly as the eerie melody echoed through the nursery. A chill crawled up Sarah's spine. That wasn't possible. Her daughter couldn't have reached it. She hadn't even moved. Sarah whispered shakily, her voice barely holding together. How is that even on? She took a slow step into the room, then another. The floor creaked beneath her feet, unnaturally loud in the silence between each note of the toy's distorted lullaby. The air felt colder here, heavier, like something unseen was pressing down on her. Her phone trembled slightly in her hand as she kept recording. She glanced back at her daughter. still asleep, completely unaware. And that's when something even more unsettling hit her. The toy hadn't just turned on, it sounded wrong. The melody was warped, slower than usual, each note dragging, stretching, like it was being played through something broken, or worse, like something was trying to imitate it. Sarah swallowed hard. Her instincts screamed at her to grab her daughter and leave immediately, but she couldn't move because something felt off, something she couldn't quite see, but could definitely feel. A presence, lingering, watching. Her eyes slowly drifted toward the darkest corner of the room, the space beside the crib where the nightlight didn't quite reach. For a split second, she thought she saw something. A shape. Small. Still. Standing there. Sarah froze. Her breath caught in her throat as her mind struggled to process what she was looking at. But just as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. The corner was empty again. Dark. Silent. Harmless. Or at least pretending to be. "No," she whispered, shaking her head slightly. "No, that's not real." Trying to steady herself, Sarah forced her attention back to the toy. She stepped closer and reached out with a trembling hand. The moment her fingers touched it, the music stopped. Instantly, the room fell into a suffocating silence. Sarah's heart pounded in her ears as she slowly turned her head back toward the crib. Her daughter hadn't moved, still asleep, still peaceful. But something had changed. The room no longer felt empty. The silence that followed was far worse than the music. It wasn't just quiet, it was oppressive, thick, like the air itself had turned heavy, pressing down on Sarah's chest, making it hard to breathe. She stood frozen beside the toy, her hands still resting on it. Then, a sound. Soft, barely there, a faint creak, not from the floor, from behind her. Sarah's entire body went rigid. Very slowly, she turned her head. Her eyes moved first toward the crib. Her daughter was still there, still asleep, but something felt wrong. Her blanket had shifted slightly, just enough to make Sarah's stomach drop. "I didn't touch that," she whispered. Her pulse began to race. She knew she hadn't imagined the shadow earlier, that brief, horrifying silhouette. It had been real, and now the feeling in the room was stronger than ever. Closer, watching, waiting. Sarah forced herself to breathe as she lifted her phone again, pointing the camera toward the crib. Okay, just stay calm," she muttered under her breath. The screen shook slightly as her hands trembled. That's when she noticed it. At the edge of the frame, near the side of the crib, a darkness that didn't match the rest of the room. It wasn't just shadow, it was deeper than that. Too solid, too defined. Sarah slowly raised her eyes from the phone screen and looked directly at the spot. For a moment, nothing. Then, it moved, just slightly, like something shifting its weight. Sarah's breath hitched violently. No. The shape seemed small, almost child-sized. Its outline faint but unmistakable now. A head, shoulders, standing unnaturally still beside the crib, watching her. Or worse, watching her daughter. Sarah's instincts finally took over. She lunged forward and scooped her daughter up from the crib, holding her tightly against her chest. The moment she did, the temperature in the room dropped, sharply, like stepping into ice. And from somewhere behind her, a faint sound echoed. Not from the toy,
Not from her daughter. Something else. A whisper. Low, distorted, almost like a voice trying to form a word, but failing. Sarah didn't wait. She turned and rushed out of the room, her heart pounding wildly as she clutched her daughter, who was somehow still asleep despite everything. As she crossed the doorway, she felt it, a presence right behind her, so close it made her skin crawl, but she didn't dare look back. The hallway lights flickered as she hurried away, her breathing uneven, her mind racing with one terrifying realization. Whatever was in that room didn't want them to leave.
Sarah didn't stop running until she reached the living room. Her hands were shaking as she held her daughter tightly, pressing her close as if letting go, even for a second, would be a terrible mistake. She quickly turned on every light in the house. The warm glow filled the rooms, pushing back the darkness, but not the fear, not the feeling. Her daughter stirred slightly in her arms but didn't wake. Somehow she had slept through everything, the music, the movement, the presence. Sarah, however, knew exactly what she had seen, and more importantly, what she had felt. Minutes passed, then more. Nothing happened. No sounds, no movement, just silence. Too quiet. Eventually, Sarah placed her daughter gently on the couch, surrounding her with pillows. Her eyes, however, never left the hallway that led to the nursery. That doorway now felt like something else entirely. Not just a room, but an entrance to something unknown. She slowly picked up her phone again, her hands still trembling. The recording was still there. Taking a deep breath, she pressed play. The video showed everything: the hallway, the music, her whispering voice. Then the moment she opened the door, at first it looked normal, her sleeping daughter, the toy playing. But then, Sarah froze. There, in the corner of the screen, something she hadn't noticed clearly before. A figure standing beside the crib. Small, still, completely black, like a silhouette carved out of the darkness itself. Her heart dropped. "Oh my God," she whispered. The figure didn't move in the footage. It just stood there, watching. Then, as the video continued, right before she reached the toy, the figure shifted, just slightly, turning toward her, toward the camera. Sarah gasped and dropped the phone onto the couch. Her entire body went cold. That wasn't a trick of light. That wasn't her imagination. It was real, and it had been there the whole time. That night, Sarah didn't go back into the nursery. She stayed awake until morning, holding her daughter close, every light in the house turned on. But the most terrifying part? It didn't end there. Over the following nights, things only got worse. More sounds, more movement, doors creaking open on their own. And sometimes, very late at night, she would hear it again. That same warped, broken lullaby playing softly from the nursery, even when the toy was no longer there. Sarah is now convinced that something has attached itself to her home. Something that isn't friendly. Something that was already there long before she ever noticed it. And whatever it is, it seems to be watching her daughter, waiting.
The incident is more terrifying than it is true. From which city or village are you witnessing this mystery? Is fear making your breath heavy without your knowledge? Let us know by commenting immediately. And to get such bone-chilling updates from the dark world regularly, follow our Facebook page and subscribe now to be a part of this terrifying journey on YouTube, and press the bell icon. If you listen to the rest of the story, maybe the hairs on your body will stand on end. In 2024, a paranormal investigation team known as Paranormal Unearthed arrived at a house that many locals refused to even walk past after dark. The house stood in Horseheads, quiet, ordinary at first glance,
but surrounded by years of disturbing stories. People claimed to hear footsteps echoing through empty halls. Some reported seeing a shadowy man standing silently at the foot of their beds. But the most chilling reports were about children, not living ones. Neighbors spoke of small figures running through the corridors late at night, faint laughter, whispered voices, and sometimes, just sometimes, full-bodied apparitions appearing without warning, only to vanish seconds later. Despite its reputation, the house had been turned into an Airbnb, a place where thrill-seekers could spend the night and possibly experience something they couldn't explain. The Paranormal Unearthed team came fully prepared. Cameras, motion sensors, audio recorders. They set everything up carefully, placing equipment in key areas throughout the house, especially in the long, narrow corridor upstairs where most of the sightings had been reported. One of the investigators muttered quietly, "This hallway, this is where people see them the most." "Them?" another asked. No one answered, because they all already knew. As night fell, the atmosphere inside the house changed. The air grew colder, heavier, the kind of silence that didn't feel natural, like the house itself was listening. Hours passed. Nothing. Just the occasional creak of old wood and the faint hum of recording equipment. Eventually, one by one, the team members went to sleep, leaving their cameras running in the darkness. Everything seemed calm, still, harmless, until around 3 a.m. That's when the house finally responded.
At exactly 3 a.m., the house was completely silent. No footsteps, no voices, not even the usual creaks of settling wood. Just stillness. But the cameras were still recording. One of them, positioned at the far end of the upstairs corridor, captured something no one expected. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The hallway stretched empty into darkness. The single dim light flickered weakly, casting long, distorted shadows along the walls. Seconds passed. Then, a shift. Subtle, almost impossible to notice at normal speed. At the very end of the corridor, a shadow began to form. Not cast by anything, not moving with the light. It simply appeared. A dark shape slowly separating itself from the deeper darkness behind it. Frame by frame, it became clearer. Taller than a child, but not quite an adult. Its outline was wrong, too thin, too still, like something trying to imitate a human form, but not getting it right. The figure stood motionless, facing directly toward the camera, watching. The timestamp continued to tick. 03:01:12, 03:01:13, 03:01:14. Then suddenly, it moved, not like a person walking, no footsteps, no sound. It shifted forward, gliding slightly, unnaturally, as if it didn't need the floor beneath it. And then, it stopped again. Closer now. The camera didn't shake. There was no interference, just a clear, steady view of something that should not have been there. Moments later, another unsettling detail appeared. Behind the first figure, something smaller, a second shape, low to the ground, quick. It darted across the corridor, fast, erratic, like a child running in the dark. But there were no footsteps, no laughter, no sound at all. Just movement. Then, both figures vanished, instantly, as if they were never there. The hallway returns to its empty, silent state. Nothing moved again for the rest of the night. But when the team reviewed the footage the next morning, everything changed.
Morning came, but the unease didn't leave. The investigators gathered in the living room, exhaustion visible on their faces. One of them loaded the footage onto a laptop, while the others watched in tense silence. "All right, let's see what we got last night," he said quietly. At first, it was nothing. Empty rooms, still hallways, hours of silence. Then they reached the corridor footage. The timestamp crept toward 3 a.m. Everyone leaned closer. The moment the shadow appeared, the room went completely still. "Pause it," one of them whispered. The video froze. There it was. Clear. Undeniable. A dark figure standing at the end of the corridor. Not a trick of light, not a reflection. Something solid. Something present. "That wasn't there before," another investigator said, his voice tight. They resumed the footage. The figure moved, gliding forward without sound, without effort. And then, the smaller shape, it shot across the hallway so quickly that one of them flinched. "What was that?" someone said, louder this time. They rewound it, played it again, slowed it down, frame by frame. The smaller figure became clearer, short, child-sized, its movement unnatural, too fast, too smooth, almost like it was skipping through space rather than running. "No way," one investigator muttered. "That looks like a kid." "But there's no one here," another replied immediately. "We checked every room." Silence fell over the group. No one laughed. No one tried to dismiss it, because they all felt the same thing. This wasn't normal. And then, they noticed something even worse. "Wait, go back," someone said. They rewound to the moment when the tall figure stopped moving. "Zoom in right there, near the center." The image enlarged, pixelated slightly, but still clear enough. The figure had a face, or at least where a face should have been. There was no detail, no eyes, no mouth, just darkness. But somehow, it felt like it was staring directly into the camera, watching them, even now. A cold silence filled the room. Then one of the investigators spoke, barely above a whisper. "Do you guys hear that?" Everyone froze. At first, nothing. Then, faint, very faint, a sound, coming from the hallway upstairs, not from the footage, from the house. A soft noise, like footsteps. Light, quick, running. The sound came again, soft, quick, footsteps running across the floor above them. Every investigator in the room went completely still. No one spoke. No one moved, because they all knew one thing for certain. No one else was supposed to be in the house. Slowly, one of them stood up. "We need to check that," he said, trying to sound calm, but his voice betrayed him. Another grabbed a flashlight. "Let's not split up," someone added quickly. They moved together toward the staircase, each step heavier than the last. The house felt different now, no longer just old and quiet, but aware, like it was watching them the same way they had watched the footage. The stairs creaked under their weight as they climbed. Halfway up, the footsteps stopped. Silence, thick, suffocating. They reached the top. The corridor stretched out before them, the same corridor from the footage, dim, narrow, oppressively still. One of them whispered, "This is where it happened." Flashlights flickered on, beams cutting through the darkness. Nothing. Empty, just like before. But the air, it felt colder here, much colder. They slowly walked down the hallway, their lights scanning every corner, every doorway. Then, a sound. Right behind them, a quick patter of movement, like something small running across the floor. They spun around. Nothing there. "Did you hear that?" one of them whispered sharply. Before anyone could answer, another sound, this time closer. From the side, a door at the end of the corridor creaked open on its own. Slowly, deliberately, the investigators froze. "No one touched that," someone said. The door stopped halfway open, revealing only darkness inside the room. No movement, no sound, just blackness. Then, a faint giggle, high-pitched, childlike, echoing from inside the room. Every single person felt it, that deep, instinctive fear that tells you something is very, very wrong. One investigator took a step back. "We need to leave, now." No one argued. They turned and hurried down the corridor, their footsteps quick, uneven. But as they reached the staircase, one of the cameras they had left running upstairs suddenly fell, crashing loudly onto the floor. They all flinched, and for a brief second before the camera hit the ground, it captured something. A small figure standing in the middle of the corridor, watching them run, completely still. The footage cut out the moment it hit the floor. The team left the house that same morning. They didn't stay another night. Later, when reviewing that final clip, they noticed one last detail. The small figure, it wasn't alone. Behind it, further down the corridor, that same tall, shadowy presence stood once again, silent, unmoving, watching. The team believes the house isn't haunted by just one entity, but many, and whatever they encountered that night didn't want them there.
The incident is more terrifying than it is true. From which city or village are you witnessing this mystery? Is fear making your breath heavy without your knowledge? Let us know by commenting immediately. And to get such bone-chilling updates from the dark world regularly, follow our Facebook page and subscribe now to be a part of this terrifying journey on YouTube, and press the bell icon. If you listen to the rest of the story, maybe the hairs on your body will stand on end.
It started as something harmless. At least, that's what everyone thought. Children having imaginary friends isn't unusual. In fact, most parents are told not to worry about it. It's often just a sign of creativity and active imagination at work. But in this case, something felt different. A mother began noticing strange behavior in her young son. At first, it was subtle. She would hear him talking in his room when he was supposed to be alone. Not just random words, but full conversations, pauses, responses, laughter, as if someone was actually there with him. "Who are you talking to?" she asked one day. "My friend," the boy replied casually. "What's your friend's name?" The boy hesitated, then smiled. "He doesn't like telling people." That answer sent a small chill through her, but she brushed it off. Kids say strange things all the time. But then, other things started happening. She would walk into her son's playroom and find toys moved from where she had left them, not just slightly out of place, but completely rearranged, sometimes lined up, sometimes scattered, and once stacked in a way her son couldn't possibly have done alone. When she asked him about it, he simply said, "My friend was playing." The mother tried to stay rational. Maybe he was doing it himself. Maybe she just didn't notice before. But deep down, a quiet fear was beginning to grow. So she decided to do something simple, something that would either prove her wrong or confirm her worst suspicion. She set up a security camera in her son's playroom, just to be sure. That night, after putting him to bed, she sat alone and began watching the live feed on her phone. At first, everything seemed normal. Her son sat on the floor, playing quietly with his toys.
Occasionally, he would look up as if listening to someone, then nod, then respond. The mother's grip tightened around her phone. "Okay, this is weird," she whispered. Minutes passed. Nothing unusual happened. She almost turned it off, until something changed. Her son suddenly stopped moving, completely still. His eyes shifted slowly upward, as if he was looking at someone standing right in front of him. But there was no one there. Then, very slowly, he raised his arm. Not by choice, not naturally. It lifted as if something unseen was pulling it upward. The mother froze. Her heart began to pound. No, no, no. On the screen, her son's arm stayed raised, held in place by nothing visible. And then, a nearby teddy bear moved, slightly at first, then more clearly, as if something had just touched it. The mother's breath caught in her throat, because in that moment, there was no doubt left in her mind. Her son wasn't playing alone.
The mother couldn't move. Her eyes were locked onto the screen, her fingers tightening around her phone as if it might slip from her grasp at any moment. "This isn't real," she whispered. But it was. On the live feed, her son's arm was still raised, held in the air by something that simply wasn't there. Then, slowly, it lowered. Not dropped, lowered, gently, as if whatever had lifted it was being careful, deliberate, watching. The boy blinked and smiled. "Okay," he said softly, as if responding to someone. The mother felt a cold wave of dread wash over her. "Who are you talking to?" she whispered under her breath. On the screen, her son turned his head slightly, facing an empty space beside him. And then he laughed, a quiet, innocent laugh. But there was something wrong with it, because it didn't feel like he was alone. The teddy bear moved again, this time more clearly. It shifted across the floor a few inches, then stopped. No strings, no wind, no one in the room. The mother's breathing became shallow. Her mind raced for explanations. Maybe the camera was glitching. Maybe there was a delay. Maybe. But deep down, she knew the truth. This wasn't a glitch. This was happening right now. She quickly stood up, nearly dropping her phone, and rushed toward the playroom. Her footsteps echoed loudly through the hallway as panic began to take over. "No, no, this isn't happening." She reached the door, hesitated, then pushed it open. The room was quiet, still. Her son sat on the floor, exactly where he had been on the camera. He looked up at her. "Mom?" he said, confused. The teddy bear was beside him, completely still. Her eyes darted around the room. Nothing. No movement, no shadows, no sign of anyone else. Her heart pounded wildly. "Who are you talking to?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "My friend," the boy replied. He pointed to the empty space next to him. "Right there." The mother slowly turned her head and stared at the spot. There was nothing there, but the air felt different, colder, heavier, like something unseen was standing exactly where her son said it was, watching her. The boy leaned closer to her and whispered, "He doesn't like you." The words hit her like ice. "He doesn't like you." For a moment, the mother couldn't respond. She just stood there, frozen in the doorway, staring at her son. "What? What did you just say?" she asked quietly. The boy looked confused now, like he didn't understand why she was reacting that way. "I didn't say anything," he replied, but she had heard it clearly. She slowly stepped into the room, her eyes scanning every corner again. The toys were still,
The air felt heavy, almost pressurized. Then, a faint sound, a soft scrape, coming from the far side of the room. The mother turned sharply. Nothing, just the corner and a small pile of toys near the wall. But one of them, a plastic car, had shifted slightly forward. She swallowed hard. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, just calm down." Her son suddenly stood up. "Can I play with him now?" he asked. The mother blinked. "Play with who?" He pointed again, at empty space. "He's right here." The mother shook her head. "No, there's no one here." But even as she said it, she felt it again. That pressure, that presence, like something was standing just out of her sight, waiting for her to notice it. Then, the lights flickered. Once, twice. The boy gasped softly. "Don't make him mad," he whispered. The mother's heart began to race. "Stop saying that," she said quickly. "There's no one here, okay? It's just your imagination." But as soon as she said it, the room changed sharply. The air turned cold enough that she could see her own breath faintly. The boy took a step back. And then, all the toys in the room shifted at once. Not violently, not loudly, but just enough to make it undeniable. Every single toy moved slightly, like something invisible had brushed past them. The mother stumbled backward. "No, no, no, no!" Her son smiled faintly. "He doesn't like it when you don't believe him." And then, from the corner of the room, a soft whisper, right behind her, close enough that she felt it against her ear, but no one was there. The mother turned around instantly. Nothing. But she knew now something was in the room, and it wasn't just watching anymore.
The whisper didn't fade. It lingered in the room like a stain on the air, soft, distorted, and uncomfortably close. The mother backed away slowly, pulling her son gently toward her. "Okay, we're leaving this room," she said firmly, though her voice shook. The boy resisted slightly. "He doesn't want me to go," he whispered. "Now," she insisted, lifting him into her arms. As she turned toward the door, the room went silent. Not just quiet, absolute silence. Even the faint hum of the house seemed to disappear. The mother froze mid-step. And then, the boy suddenly spoke again, but his voice had changed slightly. Softer, slower. "He's right behind you." The mother's breath caught. "No, no, no!" But her instincts screamed at her to move. She bolted out of the room, clutching her son tightly, not daring to look back. Her footsteps echoed down the hallway as she ran straight for the living room, turning on every light she could reach. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably. She placed her son on the couch and immediately grabbed her phone again, pulling up the camera feed from the playroom. The recording was still running. She scrolled back to the moment things started happening. At first, normal. Her son playing, talking. Then the shift, the arm lifting, the teddy bear moving. She watched frozen as the unseen force interacted with her child. But then, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. In the reflection of the playroom window, a faint outline, standing behind her son. Tall, thin, too dark to have any features, but unmistakably there. She zoomed in. Her breathing stopped. The figure wasn't just in the reflection. It was leaning forward slightly, as if aware of the camera, aware of her. Suddenly, the video glitched, the screen flickered, and the recording ended. Her phone went black. "No, no, no," she whispered, tapping the screen. Nothing. Then, from the hallway behind her, a soft sound,
a child's giggle. She turned around slowly. The hallway was empty. Her son sat on the couch, quiet now, as if nothing had happened. But the house still didn't feel empty. It felt occupied, like something had followed them out of that room and settled somewhere deeper in the house, waiting, watching, and still listening. The mother eventually removed her son from the house that night, but even after they left, her son sometimes still talks about his friend, even when no one is there. And sometimes, late at night, he smiles at empty corners and says softly, "He's still here."
And that's where we bring tonight's bone-chilling story to an end. But remember, just because the screen goes dark doesn't mean the fear is over. Sometimes, when the silence grows deeper, the sounds of those lurking in the shadows become even louder. Maybe, in that very dark corner of your room, someone is standing silently, waiting for this story to end. If you enjoy facing nightmare-like true events and supernatural mysteries, then stay with us on this terrifying journey. To get all our thrilling updates, follow our Facebook page right now and become a member of our mysterious YouTube family by subscribing and turning on the bell icon. Remember, only the brave survive here. We're signing off for tonight, but we'll be back very soon with another heart-pounding experience. Until then, stay alert, keep your eyes and ears open, because the real mysteries always hide in the dark. Good night.